Having the surname Nurmagomedov comes with a lot of expectation. Khabib's cousin Umar Nurmagomedov is an undefeated prospect in the bantamweight division, and he's only 25, which is terrifying considering how good he already is. Umar trains with Eagles MMA and American Kickboxing Academy, so it probably comes as no surprise that he's a strong grappler. But it isn't Umar's grappling that has me excited about his future in the UFC. Unlike most of his teammates, Umar has a very strong striking game to complement his wrestling. He fights out of a more traditional bladed stance and uses the shifting footwork that is available from this stance to quickly enter and exit range. Umar likes to strike from a long distance, so utilises a lot of straight punches and kicks. He has a lot of different attacks on the feet, but the focus of this video and the weapon I think he uses best is his head kicks. If you saw him practicing his head kicks, you could think he came from a strong taekwondo background by the way his kicks have quite a significant chamber before he quickly snaps his foot out. This style of kicking isn't as powerful as a lot of the round kicks you see in Muay Thai because a lot of the power comes from the extension of the leg rather than the turning of the hip. Despite generating less force, snap kicks can still cause a lot of damage because the loss of power is compensated for by the increase in speed. Snap kicks can be thrown incredibly quickly, and if you have the flexibility like Umar, you can throw head kicks in the same way that many other fighters throw jabs. Because Umar doesn't throw his kicks with full power and instead focuses on speed, they are also harder to see coming. This means that his opponents can't predict when they should slide back out of range and instead have to resort to keeping a high guard to block. If they do manage to slide out of the way, Umar does a great job of stepping through stances and landing the head kick anyway. Opponents have two main options in response to Umar's kicking game. They can either stay outside of kicking range and engage in a long distance striking match, which definitely favours Umar's style, or they will try and pressure him and shut down his kicking game by countering with punches at a closer range. The best way to stop someone from throwing loads of kicks is to force them to move backwards so they always have to adjust their feet before they can throw the kick. A perfect example of this is when Umar's cousin Khabib fought Edson Barboza. Barboza is a great kickboxer, but he definitely causes more damage with his kicks than his punches. Because Khabib wasn't worried about the boxing, he pressured forward so that Barboza had to constantly move back to get into a kicking stance. This meant that the kicks were less effective because Barboza's weight was always moving backwards when he was kicking instead of moving forwards towards the target. Kickers like to have a lot of space to operate. As soon as you take that space away, the kicks become less effective. But the problem with trying to crowd kicks against Umar is that he also has great wrestling. Once Umar has frustrated his opponents with his kicking game, they often start to press forward, looking to close the distance by countering with power punches. Once Umar recognises this, he can dip under the punches and attack the takedown as they overextend themselves. From here, he shows a lot of the classic chain wrestling and cage control that you expect from the top guys at AKA and Eagles MMA. Umar loves to go for back control whenever it's available to him, which is no surprise from his record, as 5 of his 6 submission victories have come by way of rear naked choke. If his opponents do manage to stand up, it's likely they didn't find much success on the ground and don't want to give up another takedown. Fortunately for Umar, if his opponents start to respect his grappling, it makes his striking even more effective. To defend against head kicks, you need to be leaning your head and shoulders back and your body weight shifted onto your back leg. To defend against takedowns, you need to have your head and shoulders leaning forward and body weight shifted onto your lead leg. You can't do both at the same time. This is the dilemma that Umar gives his opponents during fights. If they start thinking about defending the head kicks, that opens up the takedowns. If they worry about the takedown, that opens up the head kicks. Umar already has a very diverse mixed martial arts game for such a young fighter, and I have no doubt he will continue to improve under the coaching of Javier Mendez and Khabib. Keep an eye out for his future fights because I don't think it will be long before he's climbing the rankings and is involved in the title conversation.